All right, welcome back to another episode of the Tempest Rising podcast. It's episode 51, Too Much of a Good Thing. Now, just a quick one. For those of you that like to listen to podcasts rather than watch live videos, the podcast and all previous episodes are available on iTunes and SoundCloud. So if you just hop on over there and you type in Tempest Rising, you will be able to find this. So you can go back at the previous episodes, download them, all that kind of stuff. Because if you're a listener and you like to do it whilst you're walking or whilst you're working on things rather than watching the videos, that might be of benefit to you. So you can access all of that stuff via SoundCloud or on iTunes. Anyway, so today's episode, too much of a good thing. I would hazard a guess that a few times in your life you will have stumbled across something that made a difference, that had a positive effect on your life and your well-being. And whatever context that may be within, it could be within your work, it could be within your fitness, it could be within your mindset, anything like that. But then you've taken that and you've overdone it. I know for me, it's something that I do quite often. It's really easily done unless I monitor it carefully. So it's something I'm hyper aware of and I'm always monitoring. I'm one of those all or nothing kind of people, and I'm always pushing for the 100%. But there comes a point where you can end up having too much of a good thing, and then you end up with something called the law of diminishing returns. Drop in the comments and let me know if you've heard of the law of diminishing returns. It's something predominantly used within the context of economics, but it does apply to everything. If you're a fitness coach, you've probably heard it within your fitness training. It's effectively where we reach this maximum output, this maximum return on output. And if we try and push past that, we end up seeing a falling trend. So everything starts to drop down. We end up with a diminished return. It's essentially a case of adding stuff in until you reach a point where adding stuff is no longer effective. And in continuing to do so, you end up seeing negative results. So to give you some examples, let's say you fancy some ice cream. So you crack open the tub of ice cream, you enjoy the first few bites, but then you keep going past the point of enjoyment and you continue eating just for the sake of eating. Maybe you even make yourself sick, you feel terrible the next day. So you've gone past that point and you've dropped it into a negative return. Or in fitness, I see this quite a lot with people. You start to train and you start getting some results. You start to feel better, you start to look better. Maybe you lose a few pounds, you get stronger, you see these results. And you think, okay, so to get where I want to go, I've got to do more of that. And you do more and more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, things stop working and you actually end up going backwards, because with your fitness, you can only train as much as you can recover. So if you're not recovering from your training sessions, you are going to see that diminishing return. It's something I see within my training a lot, sometimes within the work I do with clients in the fitness world, kickboxing world, all that kind of stuff. I do have to train quite a lot. And unless I am sleeping well and optimizing my nutrition, I start to see a downward trend. On the surface, it looks great. Wow, you're getting really, really fit, but only to a point, because the stress, the physical stress, and the recovery isn't, being managed. So it all drops. Is this making sense? Let me know in the comments if this is making sense. Hopefully I'm explaining this well enough. But essentially, the law of diminishing returns helps us to optimize our resources and to understand our capacity and at what point we can reach before things start to head south. We're always going to be limited by our capacity, and it is something that we can work to improve, but within your capacity, there will always be a ceiling. The goal is just to move the ceiling higher, but irrespective of how high the ceiling is, once you hit it, it's going to cause a decline and everything's going to drop. So what's the answer to this? The easiest thing that we can all do to continually work on improving our lives is to figure out what the minimum effective dose is. So what's the least we can do while still being effective and moving forward? It's a case of maybe doing a little bit less, but doing it better. or the old adage of working smarter, not necessarily harder, which is why you'll often see when I give you tasks, particularly within the limitless group, I will give you very small, manageable action steps, because that's how change works. You need to be in a position where you are willing and ready and able to do something. And that won't ever happen if you go off in the deep end and you start trying to do too much. It's what most people do. They decide they want something, they set a goal, and they go at it, balls to the wall, 100 miles an hour, trying to do everything. And inevitably, after a couple of weeks, they stop because it's too much. But if you can do one small thing, then you can add another small thing, and then you can add another small thing. And then we end up with what we call an action stack. And you've heard me talk about that many times before, the idea of action stacking and how little hinges swing big doors. I've said that quite a few times because it's so true. The best way to avoid the law of diminishing returns and avoid burning out and all of the things that come with it is just to do little things, to bring it down and find the minimum effective dose. So next time something's not working for you and you're getting to that point where you can feel yourself starting to burn out, you need to remember this law and the amount of power you get from not overdoing things. Extremes don't lead to results. Okay, just gradually creeping forwards, remaining consistent, building things up, stacking it up piece by piece. That's what gets results. At the end of the day, it's impossible to do anything with a level of consistency if you're just doing too much. You will always be limited by that capacity, but you can't completely alter your capacity in one foul swoop. You have to increase it in steps. So let me know what you're taking from this in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this. Has anyone here experienced burnout? I'd love to hear what you guys think about this and what experiences you've had around the topic, because I know it's quite a common thing, particularly for high achieving women. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys soon. Have a wonderful day.